Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Be bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, let's do this. So, welcome to today's show. I am, as always, excited for today's topic. And it's kind of near and dear to my heart and almost brings tears to my eyes. So, the topic for today is all around commitment. And so many people say, oh, I'm afraid of commitment, or I can't commit to that, or I can't do that. And I hope that today's show will reframe the way that you look at commitment. Because here's the hard truth is most of you are definitely committed. Some of you are committed to your stories. Some of you are committed to your pain. Some of you are committed to toxic thoughts or toxic people. Some of you are committed to a job you can't stand. Some of you are committed to complaining, or you're committed to judging yourself or your body, or your choices for the rest of your life. And so commitment is actually an amazing thing when you reframe it. And so I want you to look at commitment as not what you have to do, what you have to show up for, but what you get to do. And so you can either be committed to judging your body, you can be committed to searching out hundreds of different diets, realizing that none of them work for you, or you can change your relationship to commitment and discover that when you commit to yourself in a different way, and when you commit to making different choices from a completely different perspective, if you think about it, if you start implementing what we're going to talk about in today's show and you do these for the next 365 days, you are going to change your life. And so when you don't commit to something that will move the needle forward on your life, you're basically committing to your bad habits, committing to your bad choices or the choices that won't get you where you want to go. And so I want you to think about commitment from a really different perspective. And there's a lot in my head that I would like to talk about today. So, as always, sometimes as I'm going through massive change or as things are opening in my world or as I'm raising my vibration, it's like a million thoughts come at me at once. And, the gift of being psychic and of being extremely intuitive. And for me, it comes through in physical sensations in the body as well as just visions. And those visions show up as ideas, not necessarily as pictures. And so sometimes I have so many coming at me out all at once. It's like, where do you even start? And I think a lot of people experience that level of sort of overload when it comes to the input they're receiving that they don't even know where to start, so they don't. And I was having a conversation today with a client, and we were talking about like this total overwhelm. Like, well, what if I do start doing what I love? What if I do figure out what my big giant why is? And as you guys are coming in, welcome, hello, hello, thank you. And if you do get the hit and it is the right moment, we'll see if there's space for it today. You're welcome to call in live into the show and ask me any question you want, and I will do my best to download what I am getting for you. So I always say to people, trust you. Please don't look at me as the expert. I might be sharing information that I've come across on my journey that I am really passionate about, but just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And so I want you to take everything I say and see which pieces of information that I'm sharing with you is like a breath of fresh air, or you kind of get that, your like heart opens up, or you lean forward, or you take a big breath. Those are all ways in which your body is communicating to you to pay attention. It's communicating to you like, oh, this might be something to listen to. This might be something to take action on. And so commitment really is more, are you willing to do what you say in order to get where you say you want to go? And so whenever I'm coaching people, I always say, okay, you say you want this, you want to move forward, you want to, change your body, you want to get healthier, you want to build your business, but your actions aren't supporting what you say. And so there's two choices in this. One is to stay where you are, right? And actually there's more than two choices. One of those choices is to stay where you are and experience the discord that that disconnect creates in your body, in your spirit, in your soul. And then there's the choice to pay attention to what you say you want and then change your behaviors so that you get there faster. The other choice is to change what you say you want in order to match your actions, your behaviors, your thoughts. And, there's also a lot of other choices in between, but those are kind of the three main choices. And so you have to ask yourself the question, are you committed to staying where you're at? And what's the cost of staying there? And then why do you want to stay there? Why do you like living in disconnect? Why do you like making excuses as to why you can't? Why is it more comfortable for you to be uncomfortable not getting the life you desire? And it's really interesting because when you sort of open the curtain onto the truth of one, what your actions are taking you toward, and two, the reasons why you might think you can't get where you want to go or why you don't deserve to go where you want to go, then you have something to work with in order to change course and build some momentum towards going after your dreams. And easier said than done. But for those of you out there that are like, "Oh, yeah, I don't like committing to a relationship. I don't want a relationship." Maybe you need to reframe it and go, "Oh, I don't wanna commit to another bad relationship. I don't wanna commit to a relationship where I'm giving myself up. So what do I wanna commit to? I wanna commit to a relationship or relationships that expand my horizons, that shift my perspectives, that challenge me to be a better person every day." Notice the reframe on commitment for those of you that are like, "I don't want to become an entrepreneur," although you have dreams of becoming an entrepreneur. I would prefer to stay in a job I don't like. And it's like, okay, great. So now you're committing to a job you don't like. So maybe you start to shift that perspective and say, wow, I'm I'm going to commit to starting to shift my perspective with my current job. I'm going to commit to making some financial changes when it comes to the way that I'm spending my money. I'm going to commit to saving more money, right? And then you start to open up the doorway or a window or a crack on a doorway to beginning to start to allow more room for what you really want in your life. Because the truth is, change is scary. Change can be terrifying. I have to move in September, and I'm like, "Ugh." And so, what I've been doing is I've been spending this time instead of worrying about where I'm going to go. I've actually been making some amazing steps towards going where I wanna go. Now I'm gonna stay in the same town, but, it's like, okay, I'm gonna commit to cleaning my house. I'm gonna commit to I've never had to do this before, but in order for certain things in where I live, we have, these housing tiers, and if I qualify, well, I'm self-employed. So I have to show a lot of proof of things. I can't just hand in a W-2 and they say, "Oh, you qualify for tier 2 housing or tier 1 housing or tier 3 housing," because we have the billionaires and the multimillionaires, and then we have, the people that are making less than that. And so, gosh, it's like a lot of people end up moving out of my town. I live in Aspen, Colorado, because housing is 5, 6, 7, $8,000 a month at the starting, and you're talking about a studio apartment. So it really changes the game. And I was like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. But I guess what? Had to shift my perspective. What do I want to commit to? Do I want to commit to living in a home that allows me to travel, have extra income, save? maybe put aside some stuff, invest more in the business? Or do I want to commit to taking all that extra money and putting it in housing, right? So it's always looking at what you want to commit to. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot in the past is this idea of results. Most of us are committed to results that create a lot of failure, and then we give up. But if we commit to the process, if we commit to making progress, if we commit to shifting our perspective, eventually you will walk your way into having the results that you want. Now, it might not be exactly what you imagined, but the good news is when you commit to the process, usually the outcome turns out better than you can ever imagine. And it's about being willing to commit to getting curious, getting to know yourself, asking yourself the right questions, committing to not indulging in fear and doubt. And so, when I work with a lot of people, they always come up with the reasons why they can't, right? Oh, I have to work on my fear first. And I just did a video series called the Power Series. And you can go on my website, catherinemcIntosh.com/videos, or I think it's free content on the upwards header. And there's a free video series. It's a 4 video series called the Power Series. And it's the power of. And video number 2 is the power of doubt and fear. And so most of us think that we need to get rid of doubt and fear in order to then work on our dreams. But here's the thing, then you are committed to doubt and fear. You're committed to constantly working on doubt and fear. And newsflash, there are 8 billion people on the planet. And those 8 billion people all have fear and doubt rolling around in their universes. And so when you commit to doubt and fear, you're essentially saying that I'm committed to eradicating doubt and fear on the planet for 8 billion people so I can be successful. If any of you want to do that, let me know how it goes. Good luck. And I support you if that's your choice, but there's an easier way. And so when you say, okay, I now know that I can't get rid of doubt and fear. I can't get rid of imposter syndrome. I can't get rid of feeling like a fraud. I can't get rid of my core belief that I'm not enough, but I can change my relationship to it. And then you open the door to a different kind of commitment. You're committing to a relationship in which fear and doubt don't get the best of you, in which scarcity mindset doesn't stop you. And so, no matter where we are in our phase of life, we all have thoughts in our head that want to stop us, that want to paralyze us, that try to keep us from evolving, from raising our vibration, from living our truth. And it's easy to get lost in trying to resolve a problem. But here's what happens when you sort of take the perspective that you need to solve the problem. You just open the door to spending your life solving problems and have fun, right? But that's not necessarily the easiest way. And so the easiest way is to commit to creating a different relationship with the things that stop you. You're not going to be able to get rid of them. You'll spend your life trying to get rid of them. And it's like if you're digging for dirt, keep digging. Keep digging, keep digging. You're always going to find more dirt to dig up. Or do you want to commit to finding the easiest way around the dirt you encounter? Right? And I was talking to someone today and I said, it's kind of like you got a bunch of snakes in your house and you're inviting them into bed with you. You know, not the easiest approach. You got a bunch of snakes in your bed. You're going to call the person that's going to take those snakes out of your bedroom. You're not gonna go the next day to bed with your snakes, wake up and be like, "I gotta go see my therapist. There must be some reason. I must have done something wrong to have these snakes in my bed." No, you're gonna find the quickest way to go around the snakes being in your house, and you're gonna get them out of your house. Unfortunately, with our thoughts, we can't always get all of those thoughts out of our brain, out of our consciousness. But what we can do is find the quickest way around those thoughts. And when you begin to commit to energizing choices that allow you to go around the obstacles, then all of a sudden you rewire your neurotransmitters, you rewire your nervous system. So when that fear and doubt arises, you don't automatically go into fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, the four F's, right? The survival instincts. You all of a sudden go into resourcefulness. There will always be times in which we can easily reason, justify, and give excuses as to why we can't. But you just have to ask yourself, what's the cost of doing that every day? Is it costing you your health? Is it costing you your happiness? Is it costing you not having your vibration as high as it can be? And so, commitment, all of you are committed. And here's one of my things, and I can't take credit for this. I actually got this um, from, I believe it was Marie Forleo. She did a video recently, and you want to make a list. And the 3 words that you start each phrase on your list is "I don't do," right? And so you're committing to things, to not doing the things that you normally do. So, I don't do judgment of myself. I don't do comparison. I don't do gossip. I don't do complaining. Right? And that begins to develop a different relationship with your commitments. All of a sudden, you're making a list of things you're committing to becoming a lot more conscious of not doing, right? I don't do toxic relationship. I don't do maybes. Like, and this is a big one for me personally. And for any of you that are people pleasers, a lot of you maybe either commit to yes all the time for other people, but basically what you're doing is you're then saying no when it comes to committing to you. And the quickest way to change your life is to begin to commit to you. And so you want to make this list, your commitment list of the things that you no longer identify as wanting to do or doing. So I don't do wishy washy. And my people pleasers, maybe and wishy washy will get you in a lot of trouble. And you'll notice you've committed to a lot of maybes. So I'll give you an example. Let's say, actually, I'll give you an example from my life. So a while back, I was, I'm a single mom, and so I have to schedule my time accordingly. And the times that I have my nights off when my son is at a sleepover or whatever it is, I like making plans, right, with my friends. And I'm like, I want to go to a concert, or I want to have a great dinner out with good conversation with great people. So I will plan ahead and I'll say, "Hey, want to go do this thing?" And recently someone said to me, "Well, I don't know if I could commit to that." And I said, "No problem. I'm going to make other plans." Not right, not wrong. And I literally had to like pat myself on the back because I have been committing to, I don't do people pleasing. I don't do maybes. I don't do wishy-washy. And why is this important? This is important because when you're clear with what you value and what's important to you, you open up the space to being more of a clear vessel for your intuition. You open up the space to raise your vibration, and you raise your vibration. You let new input in that matches the life you want to have. And so taking time to write your commitment list is I don't do, and start it today. And then I would challenge you to read that list every day for the next 30 days and see how that lands. I don't have my journal with me right this second, but I started this practice. And what I'm finding is when I verbally out loud repeat the words I've already written about my identity of what I no longer am willing to put up with from myself or others, it begins and I read that list out loud. I am basically verbally reminding myself while my neurotransmitters are rewiring, why the cells of my body are recalibrating. Because every day, if you haven't heard this before, I believe I've shared it on other shows and on my podcast and on other things, is every 24 hours, our physical body literally 864 million cells in our body die, while simultaneously in that same 24-hour period, 864 million new cells come in. But hear me out here. Let's say your identity is I'm not enough, and almost every single person on the planet has this identity, or they have the identity of I'm not lovable, or both. And you're energizing the thought, I'm not enough or I'm not lovable. 864 million cells die. So those 864 million cells with the imprinting of the idea that you're not enough dies. And then simultaneously, 864 million new cells come in, brand new freaking cells, blank slate, fresh canvas. You can now paint on that canvas what you want your cells to sort of calibrate to. But let's say you wake up depressed or you wake up in a bad mood or your body hurts or you're like, see, I'm right, I'm not enough. All of a sudden, those 864 million new cells that had a fresh canvas, a blank slate, you just imprinted an old story onto those new cells. And this is why I have this practice in my own life every day. And I do it as many times as I possibly can. I wake up, I put my one hand on my chest, one hand on my belly, and I'm like, hey body, welcome to the world. You're a brand new body with 864 million new cells in you. What do you want to imprint those cells with today? Right? And we all have the choice every day to either re-imprint those new cells with an old story, committing to the old, or we can imprint those new cells with a new story. And so it's an amazing practice to literally write your commitment list and start writing. I don't do toxic people. I don't do maybes. I don't do wishy-washy. I don't do judgment. I don't do judgment of myself. Maybe you want to say, I don't do sugar. Maybe you're someone who has, battled with alcohol and you know that alcohol does not work for you, but you haven't committed to admitting to yourself that it doesn't work for you. So maybe you wanna start a fresh identity and re-imprint new cells, those 864 million new cells with the identity of, "I don't do alcohol." Maybe you have a sugar addiction, right? I discovered a while back in the last year or so, I was like, "Oh my gosh." I've been, um, preaching about the no judgment diet. And the producer today asked me, what does my hat say? Yep, it says hashtag no judgment diet, to remind myself I don't do judgment of myself, of my body. I have body dysmorphia. I look in the mirror and I do not see myself the way that others see me. I see a not so pleasant version of myself. So I can either wake up every day and sort of regress into old habits of believing I have to function with body dysmorphia, or I can imprint 864 million new cells with the idea that I'm not going to let body dysmorphia change my day today. I'm not going to indulge in needing to go to my therapist to talk about something that I literally can't necessarily change. And so I might go off on a tangent and we'll probably get back to this conversation more after break, but you can't change what isn't yours. And so this core belief that you're not enough, it didn't come from you. You weren't born as a brand new baby thinking, "Yay, I just came into this world thinking I'm not enough." Brand new babies are amazing and emit this frequency and this high vibration energy because they don't have an old story. They're a brand new energy coming into the world like, "We can do anything." And yet over time, we get imprinted in society and we take on societal norms, but that doesn't have to be your story. So you might take on an identity of, I don't do normal. I don't do fitting in. I don't do dumbing down my light. I don't do pretending I'm not psychic, right? I don't do fear. Right? And all that means is that energy might be around in your universe or around in your family dynamic or around in your job or around when you're taking a leap. But guess what? When you adopt the identity that you don't do it, you'll just go around it, just like the snakes in your bed. You're not gonna be like, "Oh, now I do snakes. Let me take these snakes to my therapist and discover why I have a problem. What did I do? What's wrong with me that I have snakes in my bed?" No, I don't do snakes. Okay, call the exterminator. Next. So it's a really interesting dynamic when you begin to really adopt an identity that allows the 864 million new cells every 24 hours to take on a new identity. And guess what? Then you change what you're committed to. So hang on, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be back right after this.
Om Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, so welcome back to the show. And today's topic, commitment. Oh, it's a good one. And I appreciate your comments. Those of you that are streaming in says very interesting approach. Thank you, Catherine. You're so welcome. And thank you for listening. So if this show inspires you, if you get an aha or hit, please feel free to comment. Please feel free to share this video or the audio anywhere that you find it, with anyone you think, because the more that we get these messages out, my target is to empower people to trust their intuition, to trust their gut. And part of the reason I'm talking about this topic of commitment is when you commit to you, you then open your world to trusting your gut. We all know the moments in our lives where we didn't trust our gut, where we overrode the clear messages we were getting and we bulldozed thinking, oh well, we'll deal with this later, oh well, whatever, it doesn't matter. And guess what, it actually does. And so when you commit to no longer people pleasing, and people pleasing gets most healers, most people that are empathic, intuitive, sensitive, and maybe you have ADD or ADHD, all those sort of labels. It's probably an indication that you are a really good people pleaser, which means that you're terrible at committing to you. And why is commitment to you important? Committing to you is important because if you don't commit to you, you're going to start experiencing health problems. You'll start aging quicker than you want to. Maybe you won't be living your abundant life. Maybe you'll make pretty bad relationship choices. That was mine, right? My thought was, oh, if we love each other enough, we'll be able to get through everything. Well, I'm a Scorpio and I'm all about commitment. My problem, right, was that I was committing to the wrong people. I was committing to people that weren't committed back to me. And I remember at 25 years old, bouquet in hand, my mom was on, I don't remember. I think my mom was on my left elbow. My dad was on my right, standing at the back of one of the oldest churches in Ecuador, actually one of the oldest churches in South America. And I'm holding, got my sister as my bouquet. And I start walking down the aisle and I had this giant pit in my stomach. And usually the day you're going to say I do to someone is supposed to be one of the happiest days of your life. Well, in my case, I wouldn't say that. It was a fun party, but I knew walking down the aisle, I shouldn't be walking down the aisle. But instead of paying attention to the loudest energy in the room, in the pit of my stomach, I ignored it and instead went along because I was people pleasing. I was people pleasing my family. I was people pleasing his family. I didn't want to disappoint the 150 people that were at our wedding. And so I walked down the aisle. And that choice, it cost me a lot. It didn't just cost me close to $1 million that I lost in that marriage, but it cost me, and meaning I was the breadwinner. I lost investment properties. I lost my home. I lost my confidence. I lost the business that I was running. I lost my self-esteem. I lost so many pieces of me in that one choice to ignore my gut. And so it's really important for any of you listening that really resonate with this message, please share it with those people in your life that you know that are sensitive, or maybe they're struggling. Maybe they know they need to make different choices in their life, but they're terrified or they're stuck, or they just have not had the experience of what it's like to make a different choice where they commit to themselves. And so this commitment to yourself is a really big part of it, but then there's a second step. So before the break, we talked about making your commitment list. And that commitment list starts with I don't do, right? And you start naming, writing, and then speaking out loud your list once a day for the next 30 days. I don't do. And you're basically creating an identity where you are willing to rewire and sort of energize the 864 million new cells that come into your body every day. So all of a sudden, these cells have a different identity. They used to be people pleasers, and now you're like, nope, I don't do people pleasing. Off with her head, right? And so you begin to create a different identity, right? And then if you want to take this a step further, you make a second list of things that you do. I do blank. I do commitment to myself. I do saying no to others. I do saving money. I do, investing in my future. I do self awareness. And so all of a sudden you have this commitment list that's pretty clear cut of what you don't do and now what you do or what you're willing to do. I do self love, right? I don't do body dysmorphia. I do loving the skin I'm in. Right. It's why I wrote the book, Don't Diet, Be Happy. And Jack Canfield read this book and had some amazing experiences using some of the questions that are in this book. And it's a great book. So if you haven't gotten it, download it on Amazon. You can go to my website and there's a button to download the first chapter of the book for free. And you can see me reading the first chapter, but you can also just buy the book on Amazon. Audible, Kindle, or the paperback version. And there's some great information in there to help you become self aware. So it isn't about getting rid of something, it's about sort of creating a different relationship with that thing because you're sensitive and aware and there's 8 billion people on the planet, you can't really get rid of, but you can change your relationship to it. And I think that's really important. And so, this second piece to commitment is I say you want to find a bigger why. Because most of you, who, especially if you're people pleasers, when you commit to something, have you ever noticed that it doesn't last very long? It doesn't last very long because your why isn't big enough. It's not including a bigger purpose. And since you're a people pleaser, you'll give up on your dreams faster than anyone else, but you'll commit to everybody else's dreams and you'll support everybody else's desires and wishes and wants and needs, right? I was talking to a mom about a year ago, somebody I was coaching, and I was like, you do realize you're cooking 3 different meals at dinner for your family. How much energy is that taking away from you? And then you're done with those 3 meals and you're like, "I don't even want any of them." I'm like, "Something's gotta change." Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. He says, I'm so happy and grateful I have your book and that I met you in person. Yes, so great to meet you too. Amazing book, a must read to shift your relationship with your body. And that's what I'm talking about, you guys. You'll never be able to get rid of judgment. Judgment is universal. It's everywhere. That's why I have this hat, no hashtag no judgment diet, which you can get If you go to the website consciousapple.com, you can get this hat right now if you want it, right? Get it shipped straight to your door. I've got, t-shirts and sweatshirts and all kinds of journals and all kinds of good stuff. And so it really is about committing to forming a different relationship. And so the second part and piece of this is to discover your bigger why. And so I remember a decade ago when I had basically birthed on accident the no judgment diet. The no judgment diet came out of a selfish need to change my body dysmorphia, to change my relationship with my body. I thought that the way to change my relationship with my body was to lose weight. Well, I got down to 96 pounds. I almost died, and I still felt fat and ugly. I didn't get rid of the body dysmorphia. I had to change my relationship with it. And so this concept, when I came up with the no judgment diet, it worked for me. And then I was like, wow, if it works for me, I know a lot of women out there that are yo-yo dieting, and the statistics out there are insane. And the statistics I still have, because now you try and research it and Google hides those statistics, right? And I don't think it's necessarily Google hiding the statistics so much as it might be the normal diet industry hiding those statistics, because when people get a hold of the statistics and we start talking about the consciousness of our bodies and we start empowering people so that they can make different choices. You can't just tell someone who has an eating disorder or is an overeater to just not eat. It doesn't work that way. You actually have to change the program inside, but they have to have a bigger why. They have to have a bigger reason, because if it was just to change their own body, they'll give up when the going gets tough. And so when I first came up with the no judgment diet, there was this voice inside of me that said, wow, this worked so radically for you. All of a sudden, you went from depressed, lethargic, unhappy, feeling overweight, right? You were a size 8. You didn't lose any weight. I didn't get on a scale, but I dropped. I went from a size 8 to a size 4 in just a couple of months, eating chocolate and ice cream and eggs. And the only thing that shifted wasn't what I was eating, it was what I was thinking when I was eating, how I was feeling when I was eating. I used to eat salads and starve myself, and I still was overweight because my thoughts, the judgments that I thought were real, were destroying my life. And so I couldn't get rid of the thoughts. I just had to change my relationship to it, committing to a different relationship. You guys see how this works here? It's a aha moment once you get it. And so when I came across this idea, I started to share the no judgment diet with other people. I started teaching it. I started doing 30-day courses, and people's bodies maybe didn't change a lot. Maybe they didn't lose a lot of weight, but then people were like, oh my gosh, I started a business and in less than a year, I made 6 figures. Oh my gosh, I've been in a toxic marriage for 15 years and afraid to divorce them because I was afraid what my parents thought. And I was like, well, how old are your parents? And the lady goes, well, one of them's dead. It's like, you're worried about what one of your dead parents thinks about your divorce? Don't your parents want you to be happy? And so we can get really caught up in the appearance of things, what other people think. And this is my point of view. It is not your problem what anyone else thinks of you. It's none of your business what anyone else thinks of you. In fact, it's none of your business what you think about you. Think about that. It's none of your business. Your business is to develop a relationship with yourself, with your body, with your intuition, in which you trust you and your choices above everyone and anything and everything else. You trust you more than your doctor. You get sick, go to your doctor, get an opinion. But don't go in there blindfolded thinking that your doctor knows more about your condition than you do. Educate your doctor. Say, "Hey, I looked this up. I match some symptoms. I looked this up. I don't match these symptoms, but I do match," and go, "This is what I'm thinking might be going on." But if you don't have a doctor that's not asking you what is going on in your life, in your marriage, in your work life, are you stressed or how are your finances? Then you probably want to find a different doctor. A really good doctor will ask you how you're doing, what's going on in your life, what's causing the things that you're experiencing. And so this next level of commitment is to find your bigger why. Now, if I would have just been like, okay, I'm just going to do the no judgment diet for me, I would have stopped talking about this a long time ago. But I, deep in my soul, knew that if this could change for me, I wonder how many millions of women and men out there in the planet suffering with the same thing. Wonder how many other people it could change for. So remember the day I woke up and I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to claim to my world, to the world, at least in my way, which was on Facebook with my, I don't know, 10,000 followers. I'm committing to a no judgment diet. I'm committing to 10,000 people getting out of judgment with their bodies. And I remember when I said it out loud, I was thinking, who the heck do I think I am? Who the heck do I think I am? What gives me the right to offer this, to share this with the world, to even claim 10,000 people? That seemed like such a giant number. It was overwhelming. But that was the day when I decided to do it. I wasn't doing it for other people. I was doing it because staking that claim changed my life. I wasn't staking a claim in just my own health. I was staking a claim and being a steward for a mission that I could wake up every day and get behind, that I could be excited to be a part of. And so the second piece to committing to you is to discovering what your bigger why is. And when you make your why, not fake it, not pretend, not try and just make it up. There's this concept in a lot of spiritual modalities in seven, the number seven, right? There's seven chakras. There's, I'm forgetting, oh, there's seven energy. There's seven layers of our energy bodies outside of our physical body. There's 7 days of the week, right? There's what is it? There's the 11 commandments or the 12 commandments. There's a lot of sevens. And so when you go 7 layers deep and you're like, okay, I want to start a business. Why do you want to start a business? Well, I want to start a business because I want to make more money. Okay, why do you want to make more money? Well, I want to make more money because I don't want my children to suffer. Okay, why don't you want your children to suffer? And you start asking why. And you go deep and you can go 7 layers. Sometimes you need to go a little bit more deeper than 7 layers, but all of a sudden you get to it. And I was coaching someone today and she's been sort of struggling for a while and well, how do I do what I want to do? And I'm like, you're getting overwhelmed by the how instead of, and this was our today's conversation, instead of connecting to the why. And so we started this process. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? And we got to the bottom and I was like, wow, I know what it feels like. And I know the pain to feel separate from my dream life, to feel separate in the world, to feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world. I know what it's like to hide in my house. I know what it's like for my body to be in so much pain that I can't do what I love to do. And so I was like, that's your why. Your why, and I'm paraphrasing right now, we wrote it down, but the why was, wow, I no longer want to engage in the feeling of being separate. I was like, right there, get deeper on why that's important to you. And there was the birth of her why. And it was something that she could get behind. And then I asked, like, are you overwhelmed by the how? And she's like, only if I go in my head, only if I try and be a little bit more whatever it is. And so this idea of making your why bigger than you, that is a step in committing towards you, but it's also a step in committing to something greater than you that gives you drive when you don't have any. Because the truth is, if we have too many selfish whys, we're going to give up. When the going gets tough, we're gonna surrender that wave that white flag. Been doing this for over a decade, and there have been plenty of moments where it got hard and I didn't know what to do. But what kept me going was people like you listening to this message and then implementing the tools into your life and coming back and saying, wow, Catherine, I gotta say, like, I've been doing this for a decade, and you think people would, it's rare, but it's amazing, and it's starting to happen more and more as people are coming out of the woodwork thanking me for not giving up on my message, on my mission, on my why. And when you can really distill down a why that you're like, that 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 like hits me in the heart and in all the right places in my body, and that like connects me to something bigger other than me, and now I can commit to my health, I can commit to my family, I can commit to my finances, I can commit to seeing this out in the world. And I promise you, if you do that, that's when your life will radically and drastically change. And so, as we wrap up today's episode, I just want to thank you. If you do want to get some paraphernalia, whether it's Don't Diet, Be Happy, the No Judgment Diet, or just like connect into the mission, feel free to go to consciousapple.com and see what's available. And, I'm excited because for the first time ever, I've been doing energy work and facilitating energy work for like almost 20 years, but I've never taught really what I do. I've taught like one day workshops here and there, what I do, but I've never really taught sort of from A to Z, the ins and outs of what I do. And for the first time ever, starting next week, we are going to go live with a 3-month course called the Intuitive Energy course. And this is for healers, for energy workers, for massage therapists, acupuncturists, feng shui practitioners, coaches, consultants, anyone that works with energy or wants to get better at working with energy. I have created a live interactive course in which you go through these videos and modules, and you're going to learn how to read spaces and clear spaces. I clear restaurants and retail spaces in Aspen, and I, work with some of the coolest people all over the world. And I wake up every day and I'm like, wow, I feel pretty freaking lucky. And I hesitated to want to teach this because I didn't want to necessarily teach a technique. There are tactics you can use and possibilities, but here's the deal. You get to dive deep into your own intuition and learn how to work with energy in a way that I promise you probably never have. And you're going to start trusting you. You're going to start using this in your family and your life and your relationships and your body. And it's going to change the course of your life. So if you're interested, it is on the website. Just go to catherinemcintosh.com. You'll see a little banner at the top of the screen that says the Intuitive Energy course. It's a sort of aqua blue little looking thing, and press that and you'll be taken to the possibilities. So my friends, please don't give up on you ever. Don't give up on you and your intuition, your abilities, and continue to commit to you and trust your gut. I adore you all so much. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.